This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, the tourism industry is taking off again, with travellers looking to head overseas as borders open. Another big rates rise is on the cards at the Otago Regional Council in an effort to pay for increased services. And the spice saffron is more valuable than gold per kilo, providing incentive for a Central Otago farming couple. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Hannah Wilkins. Travel agents say the business is off the hook as New Zealanders start looking beyond the borders for holidays for the first time in years. Many people are looking to reunite with families overseas, while others are wanting to break their cabin fever with luxury holidays.
As travel borders reopen, an increasing number of Kiwis are preparing to take flight.
A lot of people reconnecting all over the world, South America, Europe, Asia, UK particularly. What we're starting to see now is people starting to think about winter breaks and things, so Fiji and Rarotonga are proving exceedingly popular.
House of Travel Dunedin retail manager Tony Boomer says the team is as busy as they were in March 2019 before the pandemic. The biggest reason for the jump back in business is people wanting to reconnect with family as borders reopen. But he says in these COVID times, even a trip across the ditch can be a complicated process.
Yeah, travel is a lot more complex at the minute. I think it will continue to be so for quite some time. I mean, there's measures in place now that we hadn't seen before. They're changing. You know, at the time there, they were changing every day. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of complexity involved. Just going across the Tasman is a form-filling exercise.
Travel agents were forced to scale back or close during the height of the pandemic. But Boomer says business is now taking off again. Airfares are still more expensive than prior to COVID due to increased fuel costs. There's also fewer airlines currently flying out of New Zealand and not enough scheduled flights to meet the demand. But despite the increase in bookings, Boomer's store is operating with just a quarter of the staff it once had, which he says they're managing by working smarter and harder.
We've just working really long hours at the moment. Everyone here has obviously stayed in the business, so we're really committed to making a success of it. So yeah, I couldn't ask more of my staff and right across the country.
Air New Zealand says despite the uncertainty, it's worked hard to prepare for the return of international travel. The airline is expecting to be back to 90% of pre-COVID-19 levels by 2025. In Dunedin, the South Today.
There are 1,410 new community cases of COVID-19 reported in the South today, along with a record 40 people in hospital. The Southern District Health Board released details of the latest cases this afternoon. There are 27 Dunedin cases in hospital, 8 in Southland, 3 from Dunstan and 2 from the Waitaki area. The Ministry of Health says across the country there are 547 people in hospital with the virus, including 14 in ICU. That's a small drop on national figures from yesterday. Northern centres are continuing a downward trend, but southern figures are still peaking. The Otago Regional Council is proposing an 18% increase in general rates for the next financial year. The hike's part of the Council's draft annual plan and would see households in urban areas pay an extra $30 to $70 a year on their general rates. The proposed increase is contentious, following on from a massive 75% rise in general rates for the current financial year. The Otago Regional Council says the higher rates would help pay for services including environmental monitoring and enhancing biodiversity. The public can give their feedback until early May by making submissions online or via forms from the Regional Council offices. Fire investigators have completed their scene examination following a fatal house fire last Friday night in the Dunedin suburb of Kensington. Investigators say the fire is not considered suspicious. Police say an autopsy on the victim has also been completed, but they have not yet been named. A probable cause of the fire has been identified. However, police say they're not able to share the results because further tests are yet to be completed. Saffron is the world's most valuable spice, fetching up to $50,000 a kilogram. The high cost is largely due to the large number of crocus flowers needed to make even a small amount of spice, and with saffron now being grown on a small farm near Roxburgh.
Picking crocus flowers in the early morning in the Teviot Valley. Wendy King owns Wynyard Estate Saffron with her partner Graham Strong. She says during the harvest season the plant is triggered to produce a new flower every day after the previous one is picked.
Once you've picked that flower, what happens is it then triggers back to the corm that she needs to start producing a new flower. Now the speed of this is that by the next morning she will have actually produced a new flower through in the peak of the harvest season.
Within each flower are bright red tiny thread-like stigmas which can create a delicious sweet floral taste when added to cooking. It's the most expensive spice in the world, with good saffron costing up to $50,000 a kilogram. Because it's harvested by hand and such a small part of the flower is used, it takes more than 100,000 crocus flowers to yield a single kilogram of the precious spice. The world's major producers are India and Iran. Specialised farmers in Australia and New Zealand grow saffron on a smaller scale, which King says results in a higher quality product.
Our quality is absolutely superb, and that's of course is due to our climate, conditions of our soil, and our picking processes too are very important.
Saffron is a member of the crocus family, but before you rush out into your garden and start picking flowers to add to your cooking, beware, because most crocus flowers are unsafe to eat.
The name is Crocus sativus, and it's the only crocus that produces the saffron stigma. So any other crocus that you have is usually spring flowering. That's not the same. Don't pick the stigmas from it. It would be poisonous or toxic.
The saffron farm was created by the couple as a retirement project. Near Roxburgh, the South Today.
Whaiakane, still to come on the South Today. Heat in the kitchen pays off for a Queenstown chef who's in line for an international award, and a group of Cantabrians rally to preserve a historic piece of the city's real estate.
Every day the team at Gillian supports grieving families at their time of need, from answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one. We can help. Call Gillian's today.
Did you miss my mate John's Easter sale? Don't worry. Easter Rabbit repeats! The name's still terrible, but John sure knows how to run a sale. He's taken 30% off absolutely everything. Dunedin's biggest range of rock-bottom warehouse price furniture and beds is still a whole lot cheaper. Easter Rabbit repeats! Last weekend.
Where'd you get that furniture from? Stafford Street. And my mate John.
Hi there, guess who? You recognise the eyes? Oh, okay, it's a haircut. Anyway, it's Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores are carrying on as usual. Despite what's happening in the world, we have got some great stock for you. Personally, I've spent 50 years in this business and we have some excellent supplier relationships. We've got great stock, it's hand-picked, it's here, it's on time, and it's ready for the great summer.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So, as my favourite cut says, keep calm and carry on.
your joy with jazz, the next generation from Honda.
Hi, we're a Concern Otago.
Age Concern Otago hosts a multitude of social activities, including interwalks.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Tēnā koe, welcome back. Queenstown chef Vaughan Maybe has been nominated as one of 100 candidates in the International Best Chef Awards. The Amersfield winery chef says it's a bucket list honour for him as one of only 2 New Zealanders named on the prestigious list.
Cooking on the world stage. Queenstown chef Vaughan Maybe has received a global honour for his craft. The Amersfield winery chef is one of 100 nominees, recently selected for the World's Best Chef Awards. It's welcome recognition, and Maybe says he's grateful to be on the list, alongside Ed Werner of Auckland's Pasture Restaurant.
It's an honour, man, you know. It's great for New Zealand. You know, I'm pretty stoked that there's a restaurant on the South Island and, you know, Amersfield and Pasture in the north with Chef Ed Werner.
Maybe spent 13 years away from New Zealand, working around Europe and the United States refining his craft. But for the last decade, he's been cooking out of central Otago. Maybe says he feels a connection to the region and gets a sense of accomplishment from his work.
I represent this region, you know, central Otago. I've been, you know, cooking my heart out here for, you know, a decade. And, you know, it hasn't been easy, as, you know, being a chef has its ups and downs. But it feels quite rewarding.
Maybe says he'll continue to refine his work and is aiming to collaborate with local suppliers to create dishes that reflect the Otago region. In Queenstown, the South Today.
For those visiting Otago Museum's tropical forest, there may be some new sounds and voices coming from the bushes. The team have just released 4 Indian ring-necked parakeets into the large enclosure. The museum says they're not shy and renowned for their remarkable ability to repeat what they hear. The green birds have been known to live for more than 30 years. The parakeets were hand-reared at the Dunedin Botanic Garden and given to the museum last November. Otago Museum Science Communicator Colin Smiley says they're fitting in well.
We are also talking to them as much as we can, trying to socialise them. We say certain things like kia ora and tuhura, which is the name of our museum. Hopefully one day they will respond to that. They do like different types of music. Certain birds prefer certain types of music, I've noticed. But yeah, our training is primarily to be able to bring them back to us at the end of the day and make sure that they'll stay on us while we do health checks and be able to maintain their health.
The charismatic quartet have been taught to associate the cage as a place to eat food and sleep. The parakeets are no threat to the butterflies, although they're fascinated by their colourful movements. The museum will be monitoring the birds to ensure their well-being. The Central Otago township of St Bathans has 2 more historic buildings taken under the wing of the local community association. One of those is the town's 2-storey former post office, which was designed by a noted architect in the early 1900s.
The 112-year-old former post office in St Bathans may look tidy on the outside, but inside the building's a little worse for wear. In an effort to preserve the local site, the St Bathans Area Community Association has taken on the lease of the Victorian-style building. Treasurer Ewan Johnstone says the move will allow parts of the old post office to be restored and opened to visitors.
The public come along, look at it and want to go in it. So we've taken the initiative from that, and the fact that we're using the building will probably preserve it better than it sitting vacant.
The two-storey timber building dates back to 1909 and was designed by noted architect John Campbell. John Stone believes it's important the historic structure is preserved.
Well, it's the history of the town. In the days gone by, Post Office was the centre of town, and if we lose that, the centre is going out of town.
Local Tricia Batkins says she's planning to contribute to the museum with her knowledge of genealogy and history.
I would hope that we will be able to have some days when I can be here with all the records and help people start researching their ancestors who lived in the area.
The association's also taken on the lease of the neighbouring Bank of New South Wales and Gold Office building, which is also listed as a Historic Place Category 1 site. In St Bathans, the South Today.
A Christchurch residents group is rallying support to preserve an iconic piece of real estate in the central city. The historic Inglefield homestead was one of the first houses built in the city, but failed to find a buyer when it went up for auction last week.
The 167-year-old Inglefield homestead was once an impressive Christchurch home, but has lain abandoned for years. It was extensively damaged in the 2011 earthquakes, leaving it unlivable with a gaping hole in the roof, broken chimneys and overgrown gardens. But the building's sad state hasn't stopped the Inglefield Residents Association from rallying its members in a bid to save the historic house from being sold.
It's so important because there's very little history left. We lost so much during the earthquakes, and people feel that we lost so much, and I think that, you know, it's a heroic effort to save a bit of heritage like Inglefield.
The house was built in 1855 by Land Commissioner William Britton, making it one of the oldest residential properties in the city. The Category 1 listed home was put up for auction last week, as is Wearers, but failed to attract any bids. Britnell says that's given them a window of opportunity after making a presentation to the Linwood Central Heathcote Community Board prior to the auction, in a bid to gain their support to help them save the historic homestead.
Inglefield has come up for sale, and these opportunities don't present themselves very often, so we're sort of saying, well, please, you know, can you please, you know, take this opportunity to buy and preserve the house.
Christchurch Central Councillor Jake McClellan says he's keen to look at options to try and save the heritage site, and has written to the Mayor seeking her support. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Whai Yakane. After the break on the South Today, a Central Otago indoor ice curling rink is meticulously refrozen in time for the winter season, and we'll take a look at what the rest of the working week has in store weather-wise.
Drop when you
Did you miss my mate John's Easter sale? Don't worry. Easter Rabbit repeats. He's taken 30% off absolutely everything last weekend.
And my mate John.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Livingwell Disability Resource Centre, a not-for-profit charitable organisation and your one-stop shop for information and resources to help you retain independence. We offer a wide range of assistive products from jar openers to mobility scooters and provide assessments for Total Mobility, the half-price taxi scheme. Come and see the friendly team. You'll find us on the corner of George and Bath Streets, ground floor of Burns House.
Hi, my name's Matt and I'm the Dines Group CEO. Dines is a company that's focused on selling logistics solutions to its customers. We're passionate about selling efficiency and we've been selling efficiency for over 50 years now.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Tēnā koe, welcome back. Alexandra's indoor ice curling rink has been marked up and refrozen in time for this year's season. The technician responsible for cooling the layers of ice says it's a job that needs to be done slowly to get the best result.
Getting ready for 30 millimetres of frozen water. Ice technician Rhys Aiken seals the seams of Alexandra's indoor curling rink before it gets covered in ice for the winter curling season. It takes about a week to bring the ice up to the required 30 millimetre thickness, with layer upon layer carefully poured and frozen. Aiken's based in Dunedin but has created ice for rinks across New Zealand and overseas, and he says the important thing is not to rush the job.
If you follow the steps and take your time, most of the time you get it right. You have issues if can't get the fridge plant cold enough at different stages when you want it to be cold.
One of the challenges they faced in Alexandra is the presence of dissolved lime in the water supply.
Ideally you're wanting pure water. The better quality of the water, the better the playing surface and the conditions you can produce.
The indoor curling rink opened to the public a year ago, and Aiken believes being sheltered from the elements will encourage more people to try out the sport.
It's just good to have another curling rink in New Zealand. It's indoors and gives more people a chance to have a go at the sport.
There are 2 dedicated curling rinks indoors, along with 5 more outside. In Alexandra, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The tourism industry is taking off again, with travel agents rushed off their feet as people look to head overseas as borders reopen. Another big rates rise is on the cards at the Otago Regional Council in an effort to pay for increased services. An 18% hike in general rates is proposed. And the spice saffron is more valuable than gold at $50,000 per kilo, providing good incentive for a central Otago farming couple. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, and we welcome our Associate Editor, Jo Simpson. Hello, and what have you got tomorrow for us?
Hi, we've got record COVID hospitalisations in the south and why cases are right up near the peak again with 1,410 new cases. Angst over the meeting which could decide the fate of Dunedin's one-way system.
Yes.
A horrific post-birth experience which left an Invercargill woman severely unwell should not happen to another, she says. And an unknown gold miner whose remains were discovered near Cromwell 4 decades ago was to be reburied, giving him a final resting place. And police are investigating the state of the Dunedin boarding house where a resident has died in a fire.
Goodness, okay. Well, a lot to cover off in tomorrow's ODT. Jo, thank you for sharing that with us this evening. And now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Looking at the situation, much colder temperatures about to arrive as southwesterly airflow blows over the region through the weekend and for much of next week. Heading to the top of the South Island, the rain continues in places. 20 tomorrow for Nelson, Greymouth 19, and warm but cloudy in Christchurch with 24 degrees. To our southern towns now, fresh to moderate southwesterlies with rain easing, and 14 degrees for the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes area, moderate westerlies with showers and 18 in Wanaka. The winds will be chillier in Queenstown and Alexandra with southwesterlies and showers with 16 degrees. And 2 degrees cooler with easing rain in Te Anau along with gusty southwesterlies. Looking at the northern towns next, still showery through here but warmer than other parts of the south. Timaru heads for 21 tomorrow while Oamaru gets to 20. Inland, Twizel and Amarama will reach 18 degrees with westerlies and showers. Down into Dunedin, rain's developing tonight with fresh northerlies dropping to 15 degrees. Tomorrow, overcast with showers, moderate northerlies, mild to start, but fresh gusty southwesterlies push through in the afternoon, reaching 19 and down to 10. The showers are back on Friday with gusty, cold southwesterlies, and hail may bring the first taste of winter. The high will be just 11 degrees, dropping to 5. And to the deep south in Invercargill, rain tonight with fresh nor'westerlies dropping to 13 degrees. By tomorrow morning, that rain will ease to showers, but expect temperatures to plummet with strong gusty southwest winds developing, so a high of 13 and a low of 5. And cloud southwesterlies and showers on Friday, again with more hail, 10 the high and down to 5 degrees. And that's the news this Wednesday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.